Yes.
Oh, I thought.
Alright. Hello, today we're at the Universe Multicultural Film Festival. My name is Alethea. I'll be your moderator. Today our topic is going to be technology and post-production. We're going to talk about AI and sort of the advances and how it's changed the industry as well. I'd like to welcome our guests. Thank you guys for being here. They're all very experienced filmmakers and editors, and we're going to get to know a little bit about them and sort of what they're working on as well. So I'm going to go down the line and ask you to introduce yourselves and give us a quick little bio of what you do. So,
I'm Saif Sharif. I'm a filmmaker for more than 20 years, starting from Iraq, Egypt, Dubai, then I finally landed here to Hollywood, let's say. People like it. And still passion doing mainly documentaries. I'm writing my documentaries in a way, and editing and post-production. I'm collaborating.
yeah, thank you for being here. What about you?
Hi, my name is Kevin Keegan, and I'm an editor, and I'm also an educator. I teach at Chapman University right now, and I try to prepare the next generation of editors.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Troy Takaki. I'm a film editor. I work in both television and features. And I am also an educator. I teach a class for Columbia College Chicago. And I do a lot of mentoring too.
That's awesome. Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm a little nervous because you guys are like professors and professionals, but okay. So I am an actor, so I'm very excited to learn about what goes on after we do our work, and then you guys are the ones that get to see the final project. I want to start off by asking, especially those of you that are educators, and you probably had to mentor people as well. How is it when you're teaching someone about the industry when the industry is changing so much day to day? So if you want to just go down.
Well, okay. So, often the professors are they're more educated than me, but the thing is, yeah, it's the only teamwork is this word work with this thing from the production to post-production, because everything is connected. If they are organized, the editor's gonna have everything, listening to the director, having his vision, working on his script, the notes, all things. When it's come to the post-production room, make the flows easy. But the editor have also to digest all this information, keep it in his head. So when he work, make sure the director is happy for the first cut, and so on, go to the obstacles of this. Oh, this is missing shot. Oh, this is not good. So he's always trying to solve a problem in a way. This is in a brief, if I want to say.
For me, actually, I try to teach the students how to adapt, because, for example, if we talk about the AI, it's a tool like any other tool, right? It's a new technology, yes. The thing is, you have to kind of teach them how to adapt, and then so can use it for their own good use. Again, it has to do with kind of mindset, because I was just telling them a while ago that when Sergei Einstein, when he was shooting his films with no sound, when sound came, he said, "Oh, the sound is distracting the moving pictures." And then Orson Welles, when the color picture came, he said, "Oh, the color is distracting the emotions of the character." But guess what? Every time when there's new technology, we're kind of adapting it to make it better. So yeah, I think it's like we have to kind of, like you said, we need to get it and digest it and then keep our post.
Yeah, because when I started in the film industry, we were still cutting on film. So going from film to digital, like from film to Avid, or there was like a tape-based systems in between that don't really exist anymore. So many editors were like, "This is wrong, I'm never gonna learn it," or they really fought against it. The people that really embraced the new technology did much better. So with the current situation of all these new technologies coming up, I really encourage people to embrace them and not fight against them.
It's amazing. So we're going to get into AI a little bit, but I think it all starts, when you have pre-production, you have, your director, and editing starts there, right? Because you need to have a relationship with the director. So how much does creativity come into play when you're choosing a project and who you're going to be working with?
It's very important that you have really good relationship with the director, because if he feel like you can bring his vision from his head to that whatever was linear or non-linear, he will feel like everything's gonna go. He will not be nervous. He will be, even if there is some problems, he gonna talk to you smoothly. Like, okay, what do you think if we do this and that? Because editors, if they don't understand the vision, they gonna fight back with the director because they say, well, what do you mean? I just finished that piece. What do you mean you have to move this and that? So the key from the editor and the director, whatever he wants, they're gonna make this easy to final a product. But if they're gonna feel like, oh, you know, I've been working for this for 2 days. Now you just tell me we have to move this or that. The director, like usually that day is not today's, they don't understand technology. So they don't care about, okay, let's move this one here to there. For them, it's just like a scene. But for the editor, it's a hell of work because it's a lot of cuts, a lot of sound syncs and those stuff. So yes, it's very important they understand each other, they trust the editor. This is very important. If you don't trust him, if he did it like Avatar, he's still like hesitate, no, there's something wrong. Yeah.
So I think if you're just starting out, so I would say get anything, even if it's a green director, just get anything, because at the end of the day you have to focus on yourself as an editor. For example, you know how to have the experience cutting a horror movie or a short movie or a documentary or anything, or even a music video, right? And then once you get there, now you have the luxury of choosing the project that you want. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky that for the past while I've been able to pick projects that I want to work on, or pick projects that want me to work on them. You know, I just started a movie for Universal, and it's a new director. But in the first time she interviewed me, we were like, oh my God, we see the same way. We want to make the same movie. And we've only been shooting for a week now, but I'm sure that we actually are seeing the same movie and trying to make the same movie, and that's really important.
Yeah, I remember at the Oscars, you know, Honora won for best, you know, I think editing, right? He said the movie was completely different thanks to him. It was a joke, but I do think it's very important, right? That the cuts and the footage that you're given, right, is all part of the stool and everything has to hold up. So as preference, when you're getting back all the footage, do you prefer a director that does a trillion cuts and gives you options, or do you prefer the one that's like, okay, we got the one shot? Like, what makes it, do you prefer the creativity of having those options?
Well, it depends on the project. How big is that project and this stuff. But for me personally, I like to see all the footage before I start the edit, and I really recommend the editor do the same. Because as I said, the director have to feel comfortable with the editor. When he tells, did you see that date when he did that? And the minute the editor say yes, the director like, oh my God, he know what he's doing. So see the footage, of course the note of the director. If you wanna, like as I said, it's just different ways. If you wanna do his cut, that's my way I call this restricted director. He want it just this way. He's not open for anything or any changing or any creative change in it. So if he send me the rough cut or the director cut, what they call it, we follow and we try to suggest it like politely in a way that will make him nervous from changing. Or he said, just look to the footage. This is the script. Do the first cut and let's sit and talk. I prefer this way always.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you as well?
I think yes, yeah. I mean, in my personal experience, I like to watch everything because sometimes when you follow the script supervisor's notes, for example, okay, this take is, you know, what the director chose. But when you, for example, do the assembly and then when you do the rough cut, and the first thing, obviously, you have to kind of read the script because you need to understand what's happening. You know, you have to kind of know the characters, the emotion, and everything that goes in and out. Because I've used, for example, shots that when the director saw it, it's like, did I shoot that? And they said, yes, you have, because I use your techniques, right? Because they have a specific mindset, right? But when the editor comes, it gives like different dimension to it. Yes, it's really important to kind of watch everything.
Yeah, the way I watch dailies, you know, for scripted in particular, because I also work in documentaries, that's a whole different thing, is that I will watch all of the dailies in the order they were shot, including everything before action and everything after cut, because I want to hear like what I try to watch what the director was trying to do with the actors or with the blocking while they're shooting. And quite often I'll even like talk out loud to the footage and be like, she needs to turn when he says New York. And then later on the director will go, you need to turn when he says New York. I'm like, because it's all storytelling. So I find it really interesting when I'm watching dailies to like try to figure out what was going on set and how the director changed things and the progression of the changes and why they did that. And so that I can kind of like work that into how I'm gonna cut the scene.
So
adding for him like an example for like how you pick the scene or the performance of the actor that minute. So the last film I worked, the actress was frustrated from the kids that shouting, and the shot should be she is frustrated and saying a joke. So I took that and put it to the director. She was like laughing for hell because it's not easy that time the actors bring that anger with a joke and laughing. So sometimes the director on the set they don't see it. So you're sitting on your monitor watching the thing and you pick the best take for him. He was happy for that. Yeah.
being on the other side of that
Yeah.
process, there's been times that I know all my actor friends and I have talked about how they always use the shot that you don't think they're gonna
Yes.
use. Like you're like, my best shot is not what the editor sees, what the
Yes.
director sees. So that's interesting. It's all creative choices. Okay, we talked a little bit on genre. What are some of the techniques you use? I know it's so broad because you guys have worked on so many different types of genres, but when you're doing a horror movie versus when you're doing a comedy, an action scene, maybe more cuts, right? Is there something that you tend to use more when you were editing certain styles?
Well, let's say it's a schools. What we were discussing before is about the editor, if he knows more about the music, exactly how it works, so it's gonna reflect on the editor too. So, on the editor, sorry, post-production. But me personally, when I work for the last 10 years as on documentaries, just documentaries a little bit different, like kind of closer to the reality. So that really not, that the cuts is not really matter than the content inside. But for the other genre, yes, it need to be continuous right cut, continuous right stuff,
Yeah.
everything need to be like right on the position so you get the feelings of what the director wants and the editor this. So if you cut a little bit extra second of feelings, you got it. This is a joke, this is not real. Like a little bit 15 seconds before if you cut so people gonna feel like this is the real fear. It just every different genre is a technique of the cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to be able to change your editing style for what you're cutting. You know, a lot of people, some editors have really fast, you know, steadfast rules about like, you pre-lab, you cut on action, you do all these things. And I find that, you know, although I kind of have a lot of, you know, things going on in my mind and things that, the way I do it, you know, most of the time, I'm able to change what, you know, how I'm editing depending on what I'm working on, you know.
Yeah. And I think whatever style you're working or any technique that you use, in my opinion, I think it must align with the director's vision. Because it happened, for example, I did some stuff and then director says, you know what, this is not in my mind. You know, now that's where the negotiation starts. You know, you try to kind of explain why you did that, and it's like, no, then kind of you have to kind of change it. Yes, you have to kind of make sure that that's one of the, in my opinion, it's one of the important things that you have to kind of make it align with the director's vision.
Do you think that's something that like can be talked about beforehand, or is it something that just comes up naturally in the process?
I think both. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's also, yeah, if it's a specific technique, let's say it's a fight. If you see the raw footage of the fight, you will laugh. Like,
Yeah.
this is, what is this?
Yeah.
but still, your eyes not need to tell you if you are an audience and watching this fight, is it right or there's something wrong? So then the director, you're gonna reach the director, like, oh, that's me. Okay, so this is good, but what if just take 10 seconds from this to add more suspense? So you're gonna adapt that with him, but at least you give him the right thing. The standard cut, at least, that's one of the thing.
In your careers, have you ever felt like you weren't given enough footage? Like you're like, I need more.
Oh yeah, all the
Always.
time.
All the time.
Always.
Yeah, because we always talk about, oh, we need to do pickups, but does that come from the editors that are like, we need more, or do you think?
It depends.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yes, it depends also, but the thing is, specifically for the low budget films, they use one camera and different takes. So, like he's sitting like that, when they take the other camera, he's sitting like that, and like this. This is really like make us challenge. Like, I got you like 50 hours footage. Yes,
Yeah.
but the takes is not matching.
Yeah.
You're artists, not magicians.
Yeah, so you need to fight with the footage. Now your fight is not with the director, not with the AD.
Okay.
You need to fight with the footage in a way, and you start asking technical questions. Okay, what is your end resolution? Is it 4K or Full HD? He said, it doesn't matter. I said, yeah, just answer me. He said, okay, let's go Full HD. I said, oh, fine. So I can zoom in, cut this hand, you know? So you need to find a creative way while you're fighting with this footage to get the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, we touched a little bit about dailies. I know it's something that's changed also. We're talking about technology. It used to take a while to get those back, right? Now it's instant, right? How is it when you're working and the set is going on, you're getting dailies? I'm sure it's also similar where you're like, this is not gonna work, right? And they're still maybe have another day on set. Does that happen?
Oh, I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
So they're shooting it in Italy. So they're 9 hours ahead. And in general, you can process dailies in about 9 to 12 hours. So my first day they shot, they wrapped at 6 p.m. in Italy. At 6 p.m. in LA, I got the dailies. So like about the same time that they wrapped on a clock, right? So this is the first time this has ever happened where we got dailies the same day that they were shooting, and we're like, what do we do now? Do we like prep them for tonight? I'm not editing all night long. So it took us a couple days to figure out that we're taking them in, we're sending them to production because they're 9 hours ahead, right? So that they can watch the dailies. Now the studio doesn't need them that night because the studio and I are sleeping. So we then decided that we would pretend in the morning like they were ready to go in the morning, and my assistant would prep them for me and then prep them for the studio in the morning, even though they came in the night before.
Yeah.
But what has been happening is, like you were saying with the pickups, like they wanted some more shots of the food, they wanted a close-up of something, and so I had to like cut it and say, yes, we need this, and I'm sort of a half day behind them, or a day and a half behind them, the way that you see it. So there was a lot of sort of trading off, and we only have like a few hours in the morning where I wake up and they're going to bed, and a few hours in the evening where I'm going to bed and they're waking up, where I like talk to the director and I'm like, okay, so what you shot yesterday really worked, or whatever, you know? It's really funny.
I just want to note that this type of projects, it's already been designed, the workflow. So there is a workflow before they shoot everything. Yes. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, so you know, in a normal workflow on a scripted show now, they shoot digitally usually, so they end up with some cards that come out of the camera. It goes to the DIT then copies it several times because you do not want to lose it. So it's like copied 3 times. One of the copies goes to the lab where they put color on it, and then they turn it into a bunch of different types of files, like ones that the studio can watch, ones for editing, and ones for storage that actually go from Italy to Vancouver and hang out in Vancouver for the next 6 months doing nothing. So it is quite interesting where, you know, in the old days there would be film and they go and process it, and then, you know, you'd either end up with film dailies or they'd tell us in it to tape or something like that. But yes, it all happens really fast now. And we were a little shocked on Monday when they're like, here's your dailies, and we're like, what? It's not even happy hour yet.
I was expecting in 2 days.
Yes,
Yeah.
and all these like problems make the tech people make a technology solution for us. Like mainly I work with Dubai or Saudi Arabia, like the difference in timing. So okay guys, if you want me to give you a decision about the footage is good or bad, you need to send it ASAP. So the ITs start finding solutions. We're gonna go for that part. We go to the AI. Now immediately the footage is gonna go to the post-production room, and we're gonna come that when we talk about the AI.
Yes, okay. So I think you're a perfect group to ask this because I hear this all the time from everyone that's not doing posts. What do you think about the phrase, we'll fix it in post?
Yes.
And how many times have you heard it?
Yes. Me personally, there is a footage film with I don't know what's the camera name. It's not even a camera, and this film like it's won 7 awards, and the producer said we send it to the CPR room to save to edit it. So yes, we heard it a lot. It's gonna fixed in the post production room, or the editor can do the magic. And I think they just try to make us.
You know, they
like,
might not
push us.
necessarily use that phrase,
You
but
don't hear it, but we
literally
hear it.
they just
They
email
assume-
me that
Yeah.
phrase.
Yeah.
We aren't sure if the closet scene was rushed. I'm not sure if it'll work. Can you
Yeah.
cut it together,
Yeah.
and we'll decide whether it works or
You
not.
wrap it up in
Which
a
is
bow.
basically like it didn't
Fix
work
it.
on set. If you
Yeah.
fix it, then we don't have to reshoot it. If you don't fix it,
Yes.
we'll have to reshoot it. You know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it depends, what are we fixing? Like, if it's
Mhm.
something like, I don't know, the light is there, yeah, you can use After Effects to remove it using the AI. Or for example, but the thing is, I mean, right now, you can even fix the character's performance. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, now it's, I mean, we can do more probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really quickly, along with sort of everything that's changed, everything's going, people are working from home a lot and stuff like that. Have you found your editing room physically to also have changed in the past couple of years? Can you edit from home? Do you go into studio? Like, how has that changed in the last couple of years?
Laptop.
It's just you take it with you.
Yeah,
You're working
like-
on the plane.
For him, I think different.
Right, so on my current film, I have a very good size, editing bay at Universal. And I have a home system. So what I have learned is we went from, when we first started cutting at home during COVID, because it really wasn't that, for big movies and stuff, it wasn't really done at all, that you were cutting at home. Sometimes you like sneak a hard drive home and, but in general, you didn't really have a home system. And over the past few years, my home system has become more and more robust. So that even just like 6 months ago, I was like, I'm really gonna put money into this because it has to be like, I can't be having to edit differently at home because I'm looking at small monitors or something like that. And so currently, I'm able to go into the office or work at home. So, and both me and my assistant, we like seeing people, we like talking to people. So we are gonna go into the office like at least 3 or 4 days a week, There's a lot of editors that are like, if I could work at home for the rest of my life, I would. And I'm like, I just don't know if that's good for your career,
Yeah.
honestly.
No, not good idea.
Do you have
know?
kids and stuff in your background?
Oh, yes.
Well,
The
vibes.
The vibes.
so much of our lives we learn by being around other people, and if you're just going to sit at home, your editing is not going to, I'm still learning techniques and things from other people. I will leave this panel knowing more about editing than when I came to this panel. I think it's really important to see people in person and go into an office to edit and get to know people and have lunch with people. So,
Is there portable units for editing? Yes, like from 15 years ago. But is it for final edits? The answer is no. If it's for the news, yes. Like people get the laptop, even when the DVD cassettes, capture it to the laptop while driving. I mean, of course, when you're driving,
Yeah.
and you put that and you edit that and they send it to the news. Yes, but for the edit, I feel your mood is gonna reflect on the edit. If if you're not relaxed, the edits feel like it's like muscular. It's not relaxed. The director told you like, I feel the scene is angry.
Yeah.
It was
It's
angry
rushed or
yesterday.
something,
So,
right?
no, so from day one, I always make sure that I have an office, doesn't matter how big, outside the house.
Yeah.
So it's gonna make me isolated, thinking, looking, searching for technique.
Yeah.
We don't know some problems, so it's better than at home, smell the foods, whatever stuff, you know?
I mean, and one thing that is impossible to replicate at home is watching something with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be like, this montage is great, and then you bring your assistant in and you watch it and you're like, maybe it's too long. Because, you know, just having somebody else in the room watching it with you
Otherwise,
changes the viewing experience.
Yes.
So that's another thing that's really important to make. It's a collaborative medium, whether some people are like, oh, I can just be at home and use AI and make my own movies myself. In general, it is a collaborative medium where you are bringing other people into your lives and you're letting them into your life with your film in order and watching things together. You know, it's the same as if you watch a movie at home compared to if you go to a theater.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's a horror movie or a comedy, completely change
Yeah.
being with other people.
Yeah. Also, like in terms of skill, do you find yourself catching things that are like smaller that you wouldn't have seen if you were on your laptop or? On
Well,
a-
yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
You'll still see that. Even if you're working on large monitors, when you see a projector, you're like, yeah, he's still breathing.
Yeah, no, I've seen actors' performances, their eyes get watery, and sometimes you don't see it when you're watching it on your laptop,
Uh-huh.
you know? So, yeah, that's so interesting. And then you said you take your laptop everywhere as well.
Yeah, I mean, laptop, but the thing is, in order for you, for example, to edit on a laptop, again, you have to use kind of the technology, so you can, for example, shrink these huge files and make it like a proxy, or like a kind of compatible with your laptop.
Yeah.
Yes. For example, let's say you want to shoot a short movie, right? You went and then you got this orange camera or red, right? Which produces a large amount of files, like huge file. And the thing is, lately some editing programs, applications, they said, oh, you can edit 4K or 6K or whatever. But guess what? It's not about editing 4K or 6K. It's about how can you utilize the program so it'll benefit you to kind of edit it as smooth as possible. Because guess what? Laptops are getting better and better, you know. But at the same time, you have to focus on how can you edit smoothly so you can watch it more and more time, and then you can kind of see what you can change. Because editing's all about watching it again until you say, okay, now it's right. It's gonna kind of come from your gut. And I also agree with Troy when he said about learning. Good editor, you can tell if the editor is good when he learns from everybody. Because in our job, every second it's a learning process. If that time comes, if you say, oh, I know everything, I don't need your opinion. Guess what? That's where basically you're kind of killing yourself.
This is out of the business.
You have to be open-minded. Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into AI right now, and we had CGI, which at one point was, no, this is bad, right? We can use practical effects, real explosions, things like that. But it sort of became the norm, especially with big blockbuster films, right? So how do you see a transition now from being compared from AI to like CGI versus doing practical? Like, what was your first sort of impression when this became so mainstream over the past couple of years?
The CGI.
CGI into like AI now.
AI.
Like, yeah, the first introduction.
Well, the CGI, I feel always the big judge on that is the audience. Because if you see the first CGI when it works on, I think, the film of the gorilla film, it was, if you see it today, it's like, what is this? Like, it's bad. Yeah. And so the audience, the demand always make people push farther to make this CGI more real. So even when they do big films, the director, the first CGI film would take 5 years to direct and say, yes, I like that. And then it's outdated CGI because it takes 5 years, then start working again on it. So even the AI, if you see the AI generated from like 7 months ago, the videos itself was like someone is moving, then suddenly there's three hands, and now it's getting better, better. So the audience is the judge for that. So okay, people need this is more real. Let's watch it. Let's work on it. So the demands create the CGI. I think that's my opinion. And the tools now, of course, way easier than before, but still you have to study it. Like different softwares, different programs, people work on it. But yes, the AI and the CGI, it's helping each other to make everything real until like you believe this is really real. Yeah.
What about you when you started hearing about like this AI was getting really mainstream and even like content creators were like using it? Did you feel like a pressure to learn as quickly about it, or you think it wasn't going to be a threat to perhaps the artistry?
I'm not a big fan of visual effects. I love more like a drama or comedy or romance. But I can tell you this, that CGI employed more people than AI. Because CGI is made by people. Yeah, they utilize the AI, but employed more people. Now, for example, you can use any AI tool to create, for example, like a 3D environment or a 3D story. That's you just typing or something, right?
Yeah.
But the CGI is totally different. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
People are putting their art into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. What about you? What were your impressions?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, it's such a broad topic, really.
Yeah.
So, and there's situations where, look, we get corn chips.
Very good. Keep it one. Different.
Good
So, I think that in some places it's going to end up being very useful, like for some visual effects, particularly ones that are not completely, generative AI. So it's more sort of like, can we erase this horse, or can we erase this person, or can we add, a tree right here? I think it's going to be really helpful for that. It was really helpful on a movie that I'm just finishing for temporary ADR, where we could, we'd add lines and we'd be able to make it sound like the character rather than me or my assistant saying the lines. At that point, it becomes up to the filmmakers to be like, oh, am I just going to not bring the actors in? Now, we thought that that's against the rules and we wouldn't want to do that. But in addition to that, you have to remember the actors are people that also have ideas. So when they say, are we going to go to the store? They might say it just slightly different than the way that the sound person made the AI say it, and the actor might come up with some other ideas about how to say the line. So once again, if you start eliminating people and limiting the number of people that are making movies, I don't think you're going to end up with as many good ideas happening. So yes, AI is making it so that you can make movies with less people, but I don't know if that's going to make better movies, honestly.
I agree.
And I just think that it's going to be a long time till they really are able to recreate really good acting, in AI. Just because it's like, there's something inside a person when they're acting that, once again, they're coming up with their own ideas, and it just doesn't work as well for one director to say, oh, this is how I think the line should be, and I think that the person should go from here to here, And as you learn, sort of, while building the scene, while you're filming the scene, like the little bit of adjustments that are made by everybody that's a part of it. So I'm not scared of AI. I think it's going to be a really good tool. I just really don't think that it's going to completely replace people anytime soon, if ever.
And I think just because of that, Avid, they came up with a new solution for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you can use the AI. However, you can use the same actor or actress, saying the same line, like ADRing it,
Mhm.
and the thing is, they need to approve it. The character needs to approve it. And everything is done through the AI. So that's really interesting.
Mhm.
Talking for AI is, as we said before, the panel, it's the tools. How far the industry want to use it. And of course, there's producers who want to save money from that. But I think the regulations now try to help. Everyone is going to be replaced, get paid. Like as he said, they have to take his approval. Like there's many different softwares, like DaVinci. DaVinci can learn the voice of yours from your acting, and I can record my voice and use your tone if you're not available to just change this. How far this is gonna goes? I think 90%. How soon? We don't know, because I see everywhere now people using these tools, but still the editor have to bring the vision of a human director. So still there's a human inside that process, I think.
Yeah. So I guess the consensus is that definitely could be an asset, right? I know we've used it on like actors postmortem, right, and things like that to assist. Have you guys used it a lot in your career of late? Because I know you also have the tools to not. Probably some people need it when you're like a new filmmaker. You just type in something, generate something, right?
Yeah.
But with your skill sets, do you find yourself reaching for it?
The AI?
Or is it just a budget issue sometimes?
The AI?
Yes.
No, we used before, like 3 years ago, when they auto sync the audios. We use it a lot. Like
Yeah.
we just
So
put it-
there's some very
Yes.
simple AI
Yes.
that's not generative AI.
Yeah.
Where it used to, what he's saying is it used to take you forever to sync up, like they shoot the sound separately from the picture. And if there wasn't a slate or something, it took, or the time codes, it took forever to do it.
Like a little
Now you
auto-tune.
touch one, you
Yeah.
touch the other, and you say auto sync and it syncs up.
So this is helpful.
We use that, it's awesome,
Yeah.
you know?
So we like this is AI. Like
Okay.
this is sort of AI
Yeah.
we use. What we use others sometimes, if it's just normal interviews, 3 cameras, they cut based on who's speaking, like the Zoom.
Okay.
When you talk, just someone
Yeah,
jump to
where
you.
it follows you.
So we have also
Yeah.
in all softwares now they have it.
Okay.
Like you just put that, you tell them like cut based on who's speaker, and you can name the speakers. We auto generate subtitles sometimes now because it's easier. This all editors, I can confirm for you, 99% of editors hate to write subtitles because we feel this is something like
Oh, yeah.
like really taking time for nothing.
Yeah.
So we use these tools like 3 years ago, and now it's even more accurate than like every updates coming.
Right, so it's really gonna help, especially with documentaries and stuff like that. To have, instead of having, in 10 years ago, people just transcribing hours and hours and hours of footage. Now, the AI will translate it for you, and you can type in a word, actor or whatever, and they will all come up. Or you can say, is there a place where this one character says the word but? Because there's a lot of, in documentaries, you quite often like take different parts of sentences and put them together. It's called frankenbiting.
Or we create the word from different.
Or you
letters.
create, you can even create words.
Yeah, we did that a lot,
But
yeah.
quite often, I would have to like yell down the hall, I need Shirley saying but, and then, in the old days, I would take forever. Now, 30 minutes later, they'll have all of the buts. Pretty soon, it'll be 2 minutes later. Or I will just type it in, Shirley saying but, and I'll just come up like every single time that she says it, so I can make my new sentence,
Actually, Adobe Premiere have this option now.
Yeah.
Like they retranscript the whole footage,
Mhm.
and you just type in the word, and it take you to that, and you can tell them like.
What is it, like Control F4?
No,
Like on your laptop, it's going
Well,
forward? Yeah.
kind of, but it's different. But then you tell them like, if you like put a sentence and you just highlight the sentence and you remove it from the sequence.
Oh.
So now it's more edit, like writer reporters edits than the video editors.
Right.
Okay.
But this is also again, the cut is not gonna be like the editor cut.
Mhm.
It's help you, yes,
Mhm.
for not wasting time watching all the footage, looking for this words or the sentences to remove it or just to highlight it if the director wanted. No, just take it out.
Yeah.
And you'd be a good editor for the director, you know?
Yeah.
It's gonna really help us with basically
Yeah.
what is the data management,
Yeah.
you know, of our world which is definitely the part that we like the least.
Yeah, it speeds the process, right? It makes everything
That speeds up the
concise.
process, make it more
Okay.
efficient.
Where does it hit though, where it's almost like, okay, now this is really helpful, now it's not helpful? Like, is there a point where you're like, I wanna be able to do this myself, or you don't wanna use the AI, where it just doesn't like hit in the right places? Like you said, it won't be
Well,
the final cut.
Well, I mean, we're lazy. So whatever make our life easier is gonna attack us, gonna replace us because we are lazy. But do you think you're gonna watch a fully AI edit one day and you're gonna like it? We don't have answer to that. But always the director, and remember the director he's the final say. He will say that this is good or bad. But I don't think so. Editors, specifically the post-production.
Oh, yeah, I mean, but there's always been for a long time tools that make things easier that sometimes that we forgo because that doesn't necessarily make it so we edit better. A great example is for decades now, Abbott has this thing called script sync, where it's like they have the script and you put little markers that say like the character says this line here, 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 and here, and here. I first used it on Desperate Housewives, and I found that I can use it later on, but I don't like using it for my first cut because it's just too easy to be like, let me find the lines. It kind of reminds me of when you were working on film, where in order to find a certain line, you had to put the film up and you had to like go through it until you got to that section. I kind of like the process of having to watch through things a second or third time in order to find that line again. You know, some people love it, which is fine.
I love it. I love
You know,
it.
but that's a great example of what we're talking about here, where it's like some things that will make our lives easier, not all of us necessarily want.
Yes,
You know.
Yes, I agree. And again, it depends from job to job, from project to project.
Mhm.
Yes. The way I see it, for example, you have the canvas, right? If you ask the AI to draw something for you, right? You tell the AI to draw something and it'll draw it, right? Would you feel the same as if you would draw it by yourself? It's not gonna feel the same because that's your energies coming out, not the AI's.
Yeah.
You're gonna discover stuff during the drawing that's going to change the
Exactly.
way that it draws.
Thank you.
Awesome,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Like I think that's really part of editing is
Yes.
the discovery process as you're putting the stuff together. Like, oh my God, it's too long. Why is it too long? Oh, I could tell the story better if I move it from here to here. You
Yes.
know, where if you were just telling the AI, hey, make the montage and make it fun. Like you would never learn what you learn,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
This is the gap between the AI and the result.
Mhm.
Like the discovering while the process, you don't know what's the end process, so you cannot ask the right question. Even if you know, you're gonna watch it. No, not this one. So what he's saying is exactly while the process, you're gonna say, oh, this is long, this is fun, but the AI, you're just doing what you ask. Is it that what you want at the end? I don't think so, because the journey is explained.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The journey of editing is part of the process of editing.
Problem solving.
Oh, I see,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
For example, you have a problem, right? You ask me, and then if I tell you the answer, 5 minutes later you will forget. But if I ask you how would you solve that question, you start thinking. So that process, that journey, will kind of make you more creative, more smart. And once you get the answer, guess what? You're not gonna forget it for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's a great like analogy as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you mentioned like it's been going on like pretty rapidly recently. Like
Mhm.
it's inclined even the past year, right? But do you think that there's something about it that it's just not gonna get right? Like I feel like when we watch AI videos that are just on social media and stuff like that, they look too real, which is uncanny sometimes. Where you're like, it's almost like as editors, can you tell when something is like AI versus when it's not? If it's a really good AI
Does
will
it
it get to
feel-
the point of?
I don't know, I mean,
You
even,
know,
I mean, even you're saying like on social media or anything like that, if people put, clean up their skin and stuff too
Yeah.
much, you're like, that doesn't even look like a person anymore.
Yes.
So,
Does it trick you? Have you ever been tricked by it? Be like,
oh,
I
I'm sure we all have, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about and what, how it's used or anything, so.
Well, yes. Why? Because like your ear every day listening for something.